I'm joined with me by our SWAPO Party Vice President, the lovely Meme Netumbo-Ndaitwah. Thank you so much for joining us, Mem, and we are very happy to have you today.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Meme Netumbo is the first of our guests on this series of chairs that we're going to have on this panel. Today we are going to tackle the topic socialism with Namibian characteristics and party discipline. This is quite a very diverse topic that has been researched by so many scholars, has been spoken about by so many politicians. So today we have Meme Netumbo here to share with us her insightful knowledge on this topic, and also in general, what is an organization without discipline. So today we are going to tackle that topic. Before we get into the discussion, we are going to have a brief overview. This is in the form of a video by the Secretary of the SWAPO Party Youth League, Comrade Ephraim Nekongo, just to give us an overview on the SPYL panel series. What is this about? We tune over to the video. We'll be back shortly.
Thank you very much, and welcome to SWAPO Party panel of series. From onset, let me welcome our Vice President, Comrade Netumbo-Ndaitwah, and also to welcome our moderator, Comrade Emilia Upindi Mutenda, our members of Central Committee of SWAPO Party Youth League. Let me also welcome all of you as viewers from all over the country, wherever you are viewing from, and also to welcome our leaders from SWAPO Party leadership. Let me salute His Excellency, the President of SWAPO, His Excellency Dr. Hage Geingob. Let me salute the Secretary General, Comrade Sophia Nahangos-Shaningwa, and our Deputy Secretary General, Comrade Marco Hausiku. So let me welcome you once more to this panel of series. Indeed, I'm delighted to be speaking to all of us as members of SWAPO and member of public and all Namibian and all compatriot and peace-loving Namibians on our first launch of the series that we are going to host as SWAPO Party Youth League. As I indicated, SWAPO Party Youth League is a transmitting belt of SWAPO Party ideology, policy and programs. We are delighted to launch the series of, these panels of series. The panel of series is aimed at discussing critical issues that is facing our country, that is facing our people, with the aim to give correct informations to make sure that our people are not misinformed with wrong informations that are out there that we deemed as propaganda tools to tarnish the image of our mighty SWAPO Party. Therefore, SWAPO Party Youth League will continue bringing in our panel that will be drawn from members of parliament, ministers, those that are at the helm of government, such as EDs in different various ministries, where information is needed. This platform will also allow public to bring their input and also to bring their criticisms, be it to us as government, be it to SWAPO, so that SWAPO Party Youth League will then able to transform that information to various agencies to ensure that those concerns are taken care of. Therefore, I'm delighted once more to welcome you all and for you to start following this page of SWAPO Party Youth League so that you can engage with us, ask those hard questions, critical questions, and able to build the Namibia that we want. So therefore, as a secretary of SWAPO Party Youth League, once more, I'm urging all of us as young people from all over, from 121 constituency of our republic, to remain vigilant and consult and use this platform as your platform. During this platform, We'll ask you to forward your questions to our WhatsApp message number that will be screened on your screen now, so that you can able to provide your questions, and your questions will then able to be answered. This series will be happening on a weekly basis. It will be live streamed all over social media, from our Twitter account to Facebook, also YouTube channel, so that all of us are informed on what is expected from SWAPO Party Youth League and also from the government. On that note, let me then officially welcome you to our first series that will be presented by our Vice President of SWAPO, who is going to unpack the topic of today. That will be led by our moderator, Comrade Emilia Opindi, very vibrant young person, who is going to be our moderator today, so that we can unpack the topic that is before us today. So please feel free to engage and also to ask questions as we present our first panels of series. Before I conclude, let me also thank the government of the Republic of Namibia, and most sincerely to His Excellency Dr. Hage Geingob, our President of the Republic of Namibia, and the Minister of Health and Social Service, Dr. Kalumbi Shangula, for the job well done and the job that you are continuing doing for our people. Let me salute the nurses. Let me salute the doctors in our hospital. Let me salute the essential service providers that are providing these critical services at the critical times as we fight COVID-19. So let me once salute you all and keep you posted with the information from this platform. Thank you very much for that. I salute you. Thank you very much, and welcome to SWAPO Party panel of series. From onset, let me welcome our Vice President, Comrade Netumbo-Ndaitwah, and also to welcome our moderator.
With that video, I'm sure we all have a better understanding, or we all have a better overview of what the SPYL on the panel is all about. Like I said, this is the first series of many series that we'll have. Follow us on our Facebook page live. This is on SWAPO Party Youth League, and also on our YouTube handle, that is SPYL Official. Please follow us on these platforms as we are live at the moment. Without wasting any more time, I would want to invite our Vice President, Pembe Netumbo, to share with us on this topic. I just want to repeat one more time. Our topic is socialism with the Namibian characteristics and SWAP and party discipline. Pembe Netumbo, I hand over to you.
Thank you very much, Comrade Moderator. First, I would like to thank and congratulate the SWAPO Youth League for having initiated this discussion. Of course, as young people, they have to be innovative, and they are the ones who have to set the stage. Similarly, I want to thank the youth of Maheke, who had invited me to participate in this program. Unfortunately, I could not join them in Maheke due to the pandemic that has put many of us, if not all, to stay put in the regions where we're supposed to be. The Secretary of the SWAPO Youth League and yourself, moderator, has introduced our topic, which is socialism with the Namibian characteristic and the party discipline. Before I go into that, I would want us to reflect the socio-political history of SWAPO in terms of its socio-political structure. I mean of Namibia, because Namibian society has its genesis in the social political structure that vested the power closer to individual. A society where the means of production were communally, primarily land and natural resources were communally owned. And this we have seen in all our groups, and that is what has even driven the SWAPO party when formulating its basic principles as well as its ideology, which is the basic principle is solidarity, freedom, and justice. And when the SWAPO party constitution was amended in 2018 and talked about socialism with Namibian characteristics, it had appeared to some as if it is a new idea that is coming, which is not correct. Just to demonstrate that, one has to look back as to how the SWAPO ideology has been articulated over the years. And this is not something that one is making up, it's documented. You have the SWAPO constitution, which was adopted in Lusaka in 1976. And this constitution is talking about to ensure that the people's government exercise effective control over the means of production and distribution and pursue a policy which facilitates the ways to the social ownership of all the resources of the country, to work towards the creation of a non-exploitative and non-oppressive classless society. This is the SWAPO Constitution 1976. And then the SWAPO Constitution of 1983, which is also here, reads that to work towards creating a non-exploitative and non-oppressive classes society, to fight underdevelopment, poverty, illiteracy, and disease. And then the SWAPO Constitution in 1991 is talking about to promote accelerated economic development and to create a balance and to interlock between the primary and the secondary sector of our economy. And then the SWAPO Constitution in 1998 is talking about to invest by way of acquiring shares or otherwise in any viable business venture and enterprises. And then finally, or second finally, you have the SWAPO Constitution, which was adopted in 2013, which is talking about to fight again underdevelopment. And then the SWAPO Constitution of 2018, which has now clearly defined the SWAPO ideology is a socialism with the Namibian characteristics. So this all tells us that SWAPO has been always focused on its ideology. However, we have also to understand that the liberation struggle that was waged by SWAPO has taken different dimension, which is the political, the diplomatic, as well as military. But it has also taken long. And as time went on, in the 80s, there was a change in the global political and economic landscape, whereby we have all seen that that change has an impact in the politics as well as in the ideology of many countries. We are all aware about the openness in USSR by Mikhail Gorbachev, the perestroika. We all know about the fall of the Berlin Wall, the end of the Cold War, and these all things had an impact also in the liberation struggle. Namibia as a liberation movement included. And it has also become part of our strategy to make sure that with these changes, where many countries, particularly those who were socialist-oriented, they were becoming more vulnerable. And even the support to liberation movements was going to be affected. So when we have now to come to the Namibia's independence, of course we know the armed struggle had played a bigger role, but we have to go for a negotiated settlement. Hence the resolution 435, which was negotiated. And in the negotiation, you can not only expect the people who are on your side, but the adversaries as part of diplomacy is there. So that's why we had what was called the Western Five group. And in that process, that's where even the constitutional principles were also adopted. And that has helped in smoothing the negotiations towards Namibia's independence. Maybe people can recall that when Resolution 435 was adopted, some of our friendly countries, for example, the USSR and China, were not comfortable. But we also felt that in a situation where we were, we had to do compromise. So therefore, when we adopted our constitution, we have it to be, it was a constitution of a give and take. And we adopted in a way that we accommodate one another. And that is where our idea of mixed economy has to come in. And mixed economy is simply to talk about you accommodating the taking care of the social well-being of the people. At the same time, you have to understand that the market has to be respected. Of course, one realized that their argument that maybe we are more on the capital side of the mixed economy as related to the social part. But when we look what is on ground, the government has invested on the social sector a lot when it comes to education, when it comes to social safety net, and in putting in place laws like the affirmative action laws, the Agriculture Land Act, both commercial as well as communal land, and the Labor Act. All these are aimed to take care of the social sector of our mixed economy. Definitely, there are elements in the Constitution. For example, reference is normally given to Article 16 or Chapter 16, Chapter 3, Article 16 of the Constitution, which is now the issue of land rights, which has given the right to people to own land, to own property in Namibia. Unfortunately, this particular article has also seen some misunderstanding in a way, because some feels that because of this article, nothing can be done to ensure that there is a sharing in terms of the natural resources. But that we have dealt with as a government, and we know it has, in some instances, reached some difficulties. I think the Ongombo farm is one of the example when Comrade Pohamba was a minister of land, when he tried to expropriate. But that does not mean we cannot be able to manage our resources to benefit everybody in the country. So that is why now people feel that as we are now adopting the policy of socialism with the Namibian characteristics, maybe it's becoming a threat to any part of our society. I'm underlining this to say this should not be a threat, because we always had that ideology. However, now that we have reached the level where we are, it needs to be unpacked. And when you are unpacking it, you need now to go into the details to discuss it. And that is why SWAPO has set up the think tank. And the think tank now has a responsibility to unpack this socialism with the Namibian characteristic. It's not something which is not so easy in a way, neither is it difficult. I know that currently we can talk about China, which is a country which is talking about socialism with the Chinese characteristics. The big question is, could we copy from what China has experienced? Of course not, because we are having completely political structure between China and Namibia. Our cultures are completely different. However, there might be elements that we can be borrowing from China. For example, when one follows the implementation of the Chinese socialism with socialism with Chinese characteristics, you realize that in essence it's a mixed economy. Because China was coming from a command economy and then now moves to a mixed economy. When you review their literature, you find them that they are borrowing some, because the capitalist system is not 100% wrong. Capitalist system has good elements. The socialist system also is not 100% right. So that is why you have to create that balance. So that is why after the end of the Cold War, you have these countries which are having what is called economic on transition. Now, these countries are now moving from the controlled economy, and they are mixing it with the market economy. And now using their specific situation, they are assisting their own people. Now, for Namibia now, as I have mentioned, that we have our think tank, which is looking into this. And think tank is also not unique to Namibia. Other countries are having the same. China is one of them. They have a think tank, which is composed of highly respected people, highly experienced in different social and economic sectors of life. And it's this think tank which guides the formulation of party and government policy as well as the implementation. And therefore, for us now that we have clearly defined our ideology in our constitution, our think tank has now to do a thorough analysis of the Namibian situation, identify the strong characteristics of Namibia that will then enable us to put into effect and in operation of this ideology of socialism with the Namibian characteristics. We are seeing already some people are jittering when we talked about this. This amendment was done in 2018. And already we have seen how those who are thinking that they are better saved in the system we are having now, they are feeling that they are now being threatened when SWAPO clearly identify its ideology, and that is why there are all these attempts to destabilize and to weaken SWAPO party. For the first time, we are seeing people calling themselves as independent candidates. And we are seeing the new political formation that are coming up. And you see who are the people who are in this political formation. Are these the poor? Or these are the people maybe trying to work on the psychology of our poor people, whom now people knows that should we now try to understand and empower everybody to understand the socialist ideology with the Namibian characteristics and what positive impact it will make on them. They are now being manipulated to weaken SWAPO party and to make sure that that policy that is now being designed to be implemented in Namibia in the best interest of the Namibian people are frustrated. So that's why we have even to set up a party school. So a party school that has to train ideologically well-grounded party cadres who should translate and implement the party ideology within the party and the government. Because it's only when you are having people who are ideologically clear that they will be able to help and then make sure that the government can deliver in what it has been elected for by the Namibian people. Because a government, sometimes when people talk about a government, they think they are talking about the president. They think they are talking about the cabinet. That is not the case. Any person employed by the government or having a responsibility, you are the government itself. And to underline this, I want to quote from President Nyerere, the president of Tanzania, when he said, and I quote, "When I say they are government, I don't mean a few ministers sitting somewhere around a council of ministers. I mean every man and woman in the country who is in a position of responsibility in local government, in trade union, in cooperative union, in political movement, and in the central government itself." So that is the government. And that's why when SWAPO is talking about having cadres with a clear, grounded ideology understanding, they will be able to carry out the activities of the government in the best interest of the party. And this now takes me to the party discipline. Because now if you are working for the government, and you as a person working for the government, you are the government, it goes without to say that every member of the SWAPO party, you are SWAPO. Hence, it's important for the SWAPO party members to maintain discipline while recognizing your individual person, but once you are a member of the party, discipline is the key. In fact, we have come to learn that one of the characteristics that made the Chinese to be successful in their transformation is discipline, self-love, self-worth, and this is very important for any political party, for any organization, and for anybody to be able to achieve its goals. So therefore, the fundamental question on party discipline is, why are you joining SWAPO party? If you are joining SWAPO party, I believe it's because you believe on the ideology. And we must understand what is ideology. Ideology is two words. It's idea and logic. So as this idea makes logic, because this idea makes logic, I believe on it. So therefore, I have to join. And then what are the values of the organization you are joining and the ethics? Now, the SWAPO value, we talk about solidarity, freedom, and justice. And this is what has to guide you as a party member. So therefore, discipline is a determining factor for each institution and organization to succeed. And it's therefore important that all party members, they must maintain discipline at all times. Otherwise, if you are not maintaining the party discipline, then you have not joined the party because of the love of the party or because you believe in the party discipline, unless you have joined the party because you want to make it a gate for you to move somewhere else. And when you don't get that, that's where the problem is. So therefore, people, when they are joining the party, they must believe on the responsibility of a member of the party, which is very clear in the SWAPO constitution as well as in the SWAPO political program. And you cannot just join because you are looking for individual values. If you do that, then that is very dangerous and cannot make the party to grow. It, in fact, has to put the party down. As I'm concluding, as missed my introduction, it's really a common understanding that as a nation and as a party, we need to build our party, and that the youth is our asset. The liberation struggle was led by the young people, working, of course, with the elderly. And this harmonious relationship has brought us where we are. And discipline has been a main feature. Now that we are embarking upon this transformation, our young people, they need to be empowered, both internally and externally. And I want to explain what I mean when I talk about internally. When I talk about internally, the young people must believe in themselves. The young people must believe in their capability. They must believe in their capacity. And they must be innovative in the best interest of all. And externally, I mean now is when the party and the government creating a conducive environment for our young people to bring out their potential. And the one cannot go without the other. Because if our young people are just there to feel they are neglected, they are not taken care of, then that is just going to block their innovation. But they must be able to think and to push and to believe that they can do something. Because, in fact, this is the ingredients for any success. If we are not focused, if we are not willing, if we don't have a clear vision, if we are not committed, if we are not dedicated, if there is no integrity, if there is no honesty, definitely we are not going to achieve our objective. Because the opposite of all this description I have given, it will lead to selfishness and greed. And selfishness and greed will turn into corruption. And of course, we know that corruption does exist. That's why the word is there. But we know it's an evil of all evils. And it has to be fought not to become a cancer in any society, including in Namibia, because it's always counterproductive. In his book, Freedom and Unity, Uhuru na Umoja, Nyerere wrote, and I quote, "I believe myself corruption and bribery is a greater enemy to the welfare of the people in peacetime than war. I believe myself corruption in a country should be treated in almost the same way as you treat treason." End of the quote. I'm bringing this because this debate of corruption is very prominent in Namibia. And when people talk about it, there is a eye like directing to the SWAPO party and to the government. And as government officials, and our president has been very consistent on this issue, educating and talking to us, and I want to underline that we are not saying there is no corruption, But it's also wrong to say that Namibia is a corrupt society. A corruption can be called a corrupt society if things are happening and nothing is being done. In Namibia, when things are identified, actions are taken because we have our laws in places and we have our process. Currently, we all know we have these ministers who are imprisoned because there are corrupt allegations against them. And they have to answer. And people have just to be frank and to talk, and whoever can be found. Because as I mentioned, that this corruption is a cancer if it's allowed. It can destroy countries, and we should not allow it. Therefore, as SWAPO members, we must remain committed to our principle. Our ideology has not changed. Our ideology has continued to be reinforced, and definitely our youth in particular, who are the future of the party, they have to play their part, and discipline must be respected. This thing of refusing directives from the party headquarters, refusing to do things that you are directed to do, these are very counterproductive in as far as the party is concerned. This thing of taking the party members and the party to court, it never happened. It is happening because people do not understand their responsibilities. It's happening because people don't want to respect their institutions or they don't know them. So we must, and the young people, we want you to take the lead to respect the party organs, party institutions, and make use of them. If we should not spend money on courts, we must spend money to address the needs of our people as a party and also as a government. So that is how we can see that once the SWAPO ideology of socialists with Namibian characteristics is fully unpacked by our think tank, and once also the SWAPO Party School should be in full force, train our cadres, will be able to make sure that the resources of this country are fairly distributed to the benefit of all. So, and then discipline must be there at all times.
Right. Thank you very much, Netumbo, for that insightful contribution. Just maybe to highlight a few things from your sharing this afternoon, is to say that the ideology of socialism with Namibian characteristics is not new, especially in the context of the SWAPO party. That dates back to the SWAPO party constitution since 1976 to 2018. And also, Namibia is not the only country looking at socialism with the and also trying to look at it from its own characteristics, from its own perspective. We look at countries like China, but it is also up to our think tank who's going to look at it more and do a thorough analysis in terms of what are the unique characteristics of Namibia and how can this be implemented. And then also I think one key message that is coming out there is also that it is also very important. I think most Namibians, most of us always like to say that the government is not a group of people. A government is not a person. But every person who you find yourself in any government institution, irrespective of the level of government where you serve at, you are the government. And then also just moving into discipline. I think Comrade Vice President also highlighted that discipline is very important, especially when we have to build institutions. You cannot build a party without discipline. And also young people are called to be at the forefront of this discipline, of upholding discipline within the party, and also inspiring this discipline to other young people. And then also the other important thing that came out is that in terms of putting the party first as a party member, knowing why you are joining the party. Not joining the party for your own interest, but joining the party to serve the nation. And then also, I think the other important thing that I also picked up from our Vice President's intervention this afternoon is also in terms of that the youth is the future. The youth is the asset that the party have. Without the young people, the party would not have a visionary, forward-looking agenda. So the young people are called on to come to the party and to also really be innovative, be creative, and help in the party in solving the issues that our people rely on the party to resolve. And then the other lastly thing is in terms of corruption. Corruption is a decay to society, and all of us are called to fight corruption. And also not to necessarily just stand back and say that Namibia is a corrupt state, because there are laws in Namibia that are looking at punishing those that are involved in corrupt activities. I think finally it's also just to say that the Vice President put it rightly to say that as a SWAPO member, you are SWAPO. So don't stand on the side and say SWAPO, but you are SWAPO. Now we're going to move into our Q&A session. Like I said, please follow us on our live on our Facebook page and also on our YouTube page. If you want to send us questions, our WhatsApp line is +264 8135 97384. +264 8135 97384. I'm just going to read a few questions here, Comrade VP, that we have received via our WhatsApp line. I think the first question is to say, what role can young people play in ensuring that the ideology of the party is maintained and upheld for the generations to come? What role can the young people play in ensuring that the ideology of the SWAPO party is maintained and upheld for generations to come? Maybe let me just give you the second questions, then we can answer them back to back, then we can move on to the next questions. The second question is, what should the role of the young people be in being disciplined party members? How can we overcome challenges of detractors who are anti-SWAPO? I'll repeat that. What should the role of the young people in being disciplined party members be? How can we overcome challenges of detractors who are anti-SWAPO? Once again, Comrade VP, I just want to thank you for that insightful intervention, and I'll hand it over to you to answer those questions in the meantime while we have more questions. If you have any questions, please send it through to us on our WhatsApp line.
Yes, thank you very much for the very useful questions. What the role the young people can play in ensuring the ideology of the party to continue in the future. Definitely, the young people have a greater role to play. One time, I was also a young person. And I believe as a young person, I have played a role that made the SWAPO to reach where it is today. That time when I was a young person, the agenda was very clear. It was to liberate the country. And participated in all the forms of our struggle, which is starting with the political one. And when you do that, your message is always to be very clear as to what you want to achieve. Now, we are talking about the party ideology, which I have elaborated before. And the essence of the party ideology is social justice. And for the young people to ensure that that social justice is achieved in Namibia, first of all, they need to empower themselves with the appropriate knowledge that will enable them to participate in all sectors of our development. And they need also to be engaging one another. They should not live in isolation. And this is even linking up with the second questions, where they are asking how they can encounter their detractors. So they must be very clear of what SWAPO ideology is. And as I've mentioned earlier, this is an ideology that is looking for the well-being of all Namibians. And therefore, they must have their vision very, very clear, and they must be willing to carry out that vision. They must be very committed. They must be very dedicated. And they should not allow anybody to get into their way, the detractors. Because once you allow the detractors, then that is where you will be put in the situation to undermine the SWAPO ideology. In my introduction, I have mentioned that for the first time in 2018, that in the SWAPO constitution, we clearly define what is our ideology. There is that subheading, SWAPO ideology. And already it has made some people uncomfortable, because those who are in their comfort zone in terms of what is the economic structure of the country, they are now feeling that something against them is going to happen, which is not necessarily the case. But what we are saying is to bring about social justice. So therefore, is the focus and the young people to remain united and to help others who are now being misled to see SWAPO as having lost a vision, to correct them and to tell them that those elements who are misdirecting them, they are directing them to the wrong path, because they are seeing the light at the end of the tunnel for the majority of Namibia. And that is what they want to encounter. Then when it comes now how we have to maintain the discipline and to overcome our detractors, I talked about the party school. And I say that the party school must train ideologically well-grounded party cadres. So young people should enroll themselves to the party school. Young people should also be contributors to the work of the party school, because only with ideologically clarified and clear commitment will be able to give you an ability to help the party ideology to be pursued and to maintain discipline in the party, and that also allow you to counter the anti-revolutionary and anti-socialists who are pretending to be revolutionaries. We know they are fake revolutionaries in this country. They are fake socialists in this country who are thinking that they are pushing an ideology of revolution. But we know in reality, that's not what they are pushing. It's the other way around. So the young people, the SWAPO Youth League members, the young people of this country, they should become real and not to be misled by fake revolutionaries and fake socialists who seems to be wanting to dominate the scene. But we know exactly what is the agenda. The agenda is to counter what are the good plans that we are having on the table for the well-being of the Namibian people. So our young people have to be alert and keep together a SWAPO Youth League and discuss. Don't become part of the group of those who, unfortunately, but try to get them. Those who are getting into gangs, those who are getting into alcohol abuse, those who are getting into drugs. As a mother, it pains a lot. And really we would want the SWAPO Youth League to draw up programs that can attract those young people who are misled and who are destroying their life. So these are some of the things that you have to do as young people, and particularly now addressing the SWAPO Youth League.
Thank you so much, Comrade VP, for those answers. We have a few more questions on coming through on our WhatsApp line. Another question, I think we've spoken about the SWAPO Party school. I think the next question speaks to that. What are the requirements for someone to go to the SWAPO Party school? That's the one question. And then the other one also around the SWAPO Party school is, what is the effectiveness of the SWAPO Party school in grooming young people to be able to take informed decisions? What is the effectiveness of the SWAPO Party school in grooming young people to take informed decisions? I think the first one was just, what are the requirements for someone to go to the SWAPO Party school?
Thank you very much. The requirement to go to party school is you should be a member of the SWAPO Party, and you have to go through your structures. It could be regional structures. It could be also the wings. I know there were discussions whereby the SWAPO Youth League were saying that there are some obstacles that are preventing them from going into the party school. But that issue was thoroughly discussed during the dialogue. And now it's only that the SWAPO Youth League has to present their applications. And of course, they should be able to follow the discussion or the tutorials that are being conducted at the party school. The effectiveness, definitely there is effectiveness because the party school is having different models. Depends now also the level of a person who is being enrolled. And one of the subjects that is now being strengthened is the subject of leadership, because leadership is the key to everything you do. So you need, from the party school, you are expecting leaders to come out. That's why in my introduction, I mentioned that the party school must be able to train ideologically well-grounded party cadres who should be doing the work within the party. Of course, they should also be part of employed in the government like any other Namibian. And when you are there, understanding what the party stands for, because what SWAPO Party stands for is what the Namibian wants. Because what we stand for is what we put in our election manifesto. And based on that election manifesto, the people give us the mandate to guide the development of this country. So that is why it's very important and it's effective when our young people can take this party school serious. You should also make an input. So it's not static. You can make, as young people, you can propose some of the tutorials that can be conducted at the party school. You could also be one of those to be giving some of the lessons, because we know that young people, you are also acquiring knowledge. You have your expertise, and it's very, very important you share that expertise, and you can make use of the party school to impart that knowledge into young people as well, and those who are going to be enrolled in the party school.
All right. Thank you, Comrade VP. I see there's a comment here for you that says, we appreciate you, Comrade Vice President, for this important lecture. May God bless you. I think someone appreciating you there on our WhatsApp line.
Thank you very much.
There's a few more questions. Another question is, how does the party discipline its cadres who transgress against party rules? How does the party discipline its cadres who transgress against the party rules? Another question here is, Comrade Vice President, what would be your advice? What would your advice be to the SWAPO Party Youth League and the youth in general to deal with party elected leaders who seems to deliberately sabotage SWAPO social upliftment programs? I'll just repeat that again. What would be your advice to the SWAPO Youth League and to the youth in general to deal with elected leaders who seem to deliberately sabotage SWAPO social upliftment programs?
Mm-hmm. Yes. When it comes now to the first question, what does SWAPO do to party members who violate the rules? Mm-hmm. First, we have the Constitution. It's very clear as to what to do. If that happened at the branch or the section level, those in the section, they are guided by the Constitution as what they should do. The matter can be taken up to the branch level. It can be taken up to the district level, to the regional level, up to the national level if it reaches there. And then we have also what we call the disciplinary committee. And the disciplinary committee has a responsibility to guide the party on how to deal with individual party members who have violated the party rules. So the Constitution is here. Mm-hmm. The only challenge sometimes we are facing, our people, there are times they don't want to follow the Constitution. So something happened before it is exhausted in the specific structure. Maybe you already hear somebody has gone to a court or somebody has brought it to the headquarters. As long as we are not following the Constitution, we are not going to handle these issues properly. But the Constitution is there to guide us. And I'm really appealing to SWAPO members, our youth who are now asking that question, that know your Constitution and make use of your Constitution. Once you do that, you never go wrong. While we are having problems now, people are making shortcuts. And that's why almost everywhere you hear there's a problem here, there's a problem here. But you ask, what have you done in accordance to the Constitution? You are not getting any answer. So please, let us understand our Constitution and let us make use of it, because disciplinary measures are here articulated in the Constitution. Then the question as to what the SWAPO Youth League can do to elected leaders who are not performing.
Yes, that are sabotaging the social program.
Yeah, that are sabotaging the social program. The word they used is a very big word. Yes. And definitely, if there is any person sabotaging, the mechanisms are there. Come out openly, identify that sabotage, it will definitely be addressed. You recall at one point, there were complaints about some of the elected people in government, ministers. And when those complaints reached the president wrote letters to those ministers, asking them to answer those questions. And those responses that came from them, they were handed over to the Anti-Corruption Commission. because the president himself is not having that to judge, because there are institutions to deal with that. And the response of the Anti-Corruption Commission has then guided the action that the people were not found wanting as alleged by those allegations. So we really need to be very factual if we have to deal with anybody who is sabotaging. Definitely, as a party, as a government, we cannot condone anybody who is sabotaging. But the information must come to fore, and the information should be correct. Otherwise, we will end up just drilling our activities when finally things are not found to be correct. But the time and the resources that we are spending on investigation is a natural resource, is a national resources that are going to be used. And they just go like that, because an factual thing has come up, a case has been logged, there may be involved legal activities, you have to pay these legal fees, and it's the government and party monies that is going to be used. That could be used directly for the social activities, even housing or any other important needs of our community. So let us be factual. No one can condone a person sabotaging, but let the information be accurate and it will be dealt with accordingly.
All right. No, thank you, Comrade VP. I see there's so many questions coming through on our WhatsApp line. I thank you so much, the audience, for your interest in our topic. And also thank you for following us on our social media platforms. I think we'll take a few more questions. I think the next two that I'll look at is one that says, how did the Communist Party of China manage to deploy capable cadres into government agencies and institutions? Can Namibia implement the same? How did the Communist Party of China manage to deploy capable cadres into government agencies and institutions? Can Namibia implement the same? I think the other one that goes hand in hand with that is, okay. All right. All right, then I think I'll just give our VP to answer that question. Sorry, I think we are starting to run out of time, so we cannot answer. I see there's so many questions coming through on our WhatsApp line, but we can only take a few. The discussion will definitely continue on our social media platforms, on our Facebook page, our SPYL page, on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. I'll just give over to Comrade VP to just answer that question.
Yes, I don't know if I'll be able to answer for China as to how they managed to deploy capable cadres into government institutions, and if Namibia can do the same. First of all, as I say, when I was trying to understand the Chinese transformation, one thing that I found there, I say it's discipline. And the discipline that they are having, and knowing also that the political structure of China, you have the Communist Party of China, which is the political leader. And the Communist Party of China is having a party school. And basically, you have quite a number of Chinese who have gone through that. So, which means you have the majority of the Chinese who understand the country's ideology. And that makes it easy for them to be committed. And because in China, they have that one system. I mentioned that when it comes to the economic setup, they have to borrow from the market economy and then to fit that into the controlled economy. But their political system, which is basically, one can say, is one party, unlike what we have, a multi-party system, you have people who all subscribe to that same ideology. And hence, that is what keeps them together. Definitely, Namibia, we can do that. I say for us to succeed, we need a clear, common vision. We need all of us to show willingness. We need all of us to show commitment and dedication. And then everyone given a responsibility by the government, consider yourself as a government. So in that way, all of us who are going to be given responsibility within the government, we will see that we are doing the work for ourselves. So it's something that comes from inside. Do you really, as an individual Namibian, believe on the well-being of all Namibians and make it your responsibility that every task given to you, you do it in the best interest of the Namibian people. And that is what the Chinese have done. Now for us, we are now starting with the party members whom we are saying, make yourself available to the party school. And when you get what you get from the party school, share with others who have not gone there. Don't just talk to party members. Talk to everybody. In fact, a party like SWAPO, which is based on membership, you need to recruit all the time. And you are recruiting from those who are not members. Those who are members, they are already members. You recruit from those who do not belong to any political party. You recruit from those who belong to other parties when they know what you stand for and they see what you are doing. And when people see the behavior of a party member, they will be attracted to say, yes, that is the place I want to be. And in that way, we'll be able to know who are our right cadres, whom we can put at the right places. You know, the government has been trying over the years. The parastitles. I don't think of our parastitles have been led by elderly people. Okay, maybe we who are elderly, we remain in politics. But we then give the responsibility to the young people to run the economy by giving them the part of the parastitles. Are they doing fine? Hopefully, our young people should tell us, because we gave them that part of the responsibility. And when you are taken there, you say, this is a Namibian who can perform in the best interest of the Namibian people. So it's really not the party, it's not the government, it's individuals that have to discover themselves and to believe on themselves.
Thank you, Comrade VP. I see this is quite an interesting topic, and I see we are having so much interest in the topic and in the discussion this afternoon. We are going to take a few minutes break, and we'll be right back. Please don't go away. And after the break, we'll tackle a few more questions on our WhatsApp line. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Of Oliver Tambo, long live the legacy of Oliver Tambo. Long live Dr. Nuyoma. Long live Dr. Nuyoma. Long live Dr. Pohamba. Long live Dr. Pohamba. Long live Dr. Nuyoma. Long live Dr. Nuyoma. Greenwell Matongo, Pondola Nangobe, Andrew Inamba, Bongi, Mzeka Ufungwa, Napita Shilumbu.
Welcome back to SWAPO Party Youth League on the panel. Today we are tackling the topic socialism with Namibian characteristics and party discipline. And with us we have our Vice President, Comrade Netumbo-Ndaitwah. I think we are now in the final segment of our discussion this afternoon. We're going to take about three more questions from our WhatsApp line. That we are addressed to our panelists, our Vice President, with us here this afternoon. I think I'll get right away into the question. The question is, how do you define a successful socialism experience for you personally? How do you define a successful socialism experience for you personally? What is it about socialism that makes you think it's the best positioned to work for Namibia to achieve its success? How would you define a successful socialism experience for you personally? And what makes you think socialism is best fit for Namibia to achieve its success? I think just to add another question to that is, what are the existing programs in SWAPO Party that educate young people on being disciplined? What are the existing programs in SWAPO Party that educate young people in being disciplined? I think the young people want to hear from you personally now, your personal views on things.
Thank you very much. How do I define successful socialism?
Yes.
Anything successful is when it has reached its intended goal. Now, socialism is something that is aimed to enable the society to ensure social justice, both economically and the whole well-being. So any society where you are able to provide the basic needs of our society, then you know that your socialism is successful. You know that at Namibia's independence, we have identified our priority areas. One is education. And truly we have invested in education, and it has become successful. People can argue it, that maybe it's not successful, but I argue it has become successful. Because if our education was not successful, people will not complain to say that we have many graduates in the street who are unemployed. Those people were not trained from the space. They were trained in our institution. The only challenge is our economy, being not an island, did not expand to the level that it can create the necessary jobs that are required by these graduates who have come out of our successful educational system. Our social safety net is successful. It's able to capture as many people as possible. At the time of independence, we had very few, if any, children who were part of our social safety net. But today, you are finding them all over Namibia. Electricity. was a luxury for main senders. Today, you are finding it even in the rural area. Potable water was not in many parts of the country. Today is there. So this is a successful social facilities which is needed and which is the aim of any socialist society. And why I feel it is best for Namibia, social justice is very important all over the world. And you know, you talk like I have been, I studied in Britain. Mm-hmm. It's a market, it's known as a capitalist country. Mm-hmm. But as I said earlier, even in those capitalist countries, you find some elements of social well-being. As a student, you just be told to go and register with any health practitioner nearby. And that is where you go when you have health problems. How they are paid, we didn't know. I got my child while I was studying. And every week, that child was getting 70 pounds. And that is a must for every child born in Britain, which is a capitalist, we say. So that's why you have that social justice that is coming in. So for me, socialism is good for Namibia because you are able to provide the basic needs of each and every citizen of your country. So it just depends how you can apply it. And then the programs that SWAPO has put in place for maintaining the party discipline. One, I will go back to the party school because it's there to train party cadres. Two, we are also saying that our structures, they should not just see themselves as structures for conducting elections. They should be able to organize discussions. The SWAPO Youth League is doing very well by organizing this discussion series. And this is not the first time. I think I remember it was in 2017 when the SWAPO Youth League invited me for the similar discussions which were in Oshakati. And we really want our youth, young women included, to play a role in engaging one another. But the party school is the first element where party discipline can be strengthened. So that, because as you know, the party school is having an institution in Windhoek, but it has also expanded to the regions. In every region, you have representatives of parties of the party school who were trained, and they should be organizing lectures in those regions to talk to party members on different topics. And through that, party discipline will be part of it. Party discipline is also an internal thing. How do you really take the party yourself? You can be talked to, but if you are not responding positively, it will be just a waste of time. So once you know why you are joining SWAPO, that in itself is already a training session for one to maintain a party discipline.
Thank you. I think, we'll take our last question for the afternoon because we're starting to run out of time. I know there's so much interest on the topic and so many young people out there are sending their questions, but unfortunately we are running out of time. I'll pose the final question to Comrade Vice President before we close our session this afternoon, and then all the other questions that are coming through, we'll definitely handle them on our social media platforms. Comrade VP, our last question is that someone wants to ask you, how should the youth balance between their role as the transmitting belt of their party ideology, which requires them to be radical, bold, and militant, and party discipline. So I think the young people are asking, how should they strike this balance between in their role as transmitting belt of the party ideology, in that which it requires them to be radical, bold, and militant, and at the same time maintaining party discipline?
Yes, it's a good, easy balance that can be done. What our youth should do, you must have your message very clear. And that message, I understand exactly what you are questioning, because we used to say, as young people, we are stone throwers. You throw a stone, and then the elderly will come and pick it up. And you can only throw the right stone if you know your message. Let us be very clear as to what message we would want to make. This is not the first time when you hear young people feel they are constrained. In Oshakati, I have shared my experience as a young person. I remember we were in Ondangwa, and we were now planning a demonstration. As a representative of the youth, I had my plan, which came from the youth, as how we were going to handle the administration. And when I put what we had on the table, I still recall Comrade Ioto, may he so rest in peace, said to me, "Netumbo, shut up. You young people, you are too quick and dominant." I was not offended by that. And I know it was something that was given in good faith, but that does not prevent us to identify our message, put it across, and make the impact that we have made. So party discipline, or being revolutionary, being a stone thrower, does not mean indiscipline. Those are two different things altogether. They are saying that there are many ways of killing a cat. You must know how to present your case that can make you to be revolutionary and demand for a change that is needed without showing any sign of indiscipline. And once you understand clearly what the party stands for, once you understand clearly what can be destructive when it comes to the party and to the government, definitely you can have that good balance by maintaining your discipline, but still as a young people making your voice to be heard. So just make your message to be very clear and find the best way of communicating that message without showing any sign of part indiscipline. When the party, for example, took a position in which you are part of the decision, can you go out and say, this is not possible? I was not part to it as a youth. But there are those issues the party or the government might have done, and you can question them. You can question them, and then you get answers. Some of the questions you are going to put are even maybe important not only to the youth, but they are important to whole nation. And then your government and your party will be able to give such explanations.
Thank you so much, Comrade Vice President. It has indeed been a very insightful discussion this afternoon. I, for one, have surely enjoyed it, and I'm sure so many of our listeners and our young people out there in all the corners of our country have also enjoyed it and have learned a lot from you this afternoon. I cannot thank you enough for really being with us this afternoon and being a panelist to share on this important topic. I thank you so much.
I thank you very much, and once again, I really want to thank the SWAPO Youth League for organizing this type of discussion. You have made at the beginning, you are going to have them weekly, whereby you are going to invite different people to engage with our youth. That's exactly what is expected of the youth. The youth must take the lead. The youth must take initiative. And this is one of the best initiatives. And in this way, you will be able to formulate your clear message. In this way, you are able to engage with leaders and people who are in the positions, and then things are going to explain. Hence, you are balancing your revolutionary ideas with the party discipline. So congratulations, SWAPO Youth League. Keep up the good work and prepare our youth, particularly now with the coronavirus. Tell them to respect all what we are being told, the protocols. It's very important for the health of our nation and for the well-being of all of us. Thank you very much.
We've come to the end of our panel discussion this afternoon. And as the saying goes, that the elders are a fountain of knowledge. And this afternoon, our Vice President encourages us as young people to be united, to be knowledgeable, and to have a clear ideology of what the SWAPO party stands for, so that way we are able to transmit it as we are the transmitting belt of the party. Thank you so much for joining us, and please stay tuned on our social media platforms as we will advertise our next series of discussions on Facebook, that's SWAPO Party Youth League, Instagram, SPYL_official, on Twitter, that's SWAPO Party Youth League official, on YouTube, that's SWAPO SPYL official. From me, Emilia Upindi Mutenda, I say thank you.
Atulangala pona kota